All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy to have you here. Today, we're going to be talking about storyboarding and comic strips. Miss Perry emailed me asking about comic strip creators. And so we looked at a couple different variations, a couple different versions, a couple different ways to do it. And I'm going to share three of them, three options. And so some will be more appropriate for older levels, older grades, and some will work just fine for younger grades. And so what I'm going to do here is a quick screen share. All right. So the first tool that we're going to talk about today is called Storyboard That, storyboardthat.com. This is free with caveats. A couple things to know. One is it's designed for 13 and older. So it's kids that are students that are 13 and older, as far as, COPA, that kind of stuff goes. And how they do that is if you're younger than 13, you actually don't sign up yourself. You sign under a teacher, kind of like Google Classroom, where a teacher would create the assignment and students would, sign up underneath that. And so if you want to use the free version for older kids, 13 and older, you certainly can. A couple things about that is they give you different scenarios. They'll let you do certain things, but not let you do everything, right? That's how they get you to pay. If you do buy it, it is to pay for the full version. It's $10 a month, like for a teacher, and that would apply for the students underneath you. And so I don't believe we have any copies of this in the district. I also don't believe that we have enough users probably to warrant a district copy or a district license for this, because it's a little too expensive for that. But we're looking at different ways. That said, if you do want to use it for free with your students, if they are under 13, you can sign up for the free trial for 14 days. And so you would sign up as a teacher. Students could sign up underneath you. Again, very similar to Google Classroom, where they would be under your umbrella. And then when they're done, they could finish that project. If you needed a project to go beyond the 13 days, that's where you would need a pro license. So what is Storyboard That? It has a bunch of different tools. I'm just going to jump my dashboard here. See, I signed up yesterday, so I have 14 days left in my trial. And this is where I would set up students and teachers and all that kind of thing if I wanted to. I can make assignments, again, like Google Classroom. In fact, this can connect to your Google Classroom, so it can automatically pull your students from Google Classroom into this service. But here's a storyboard. Another limitation of the free version is you can only do 2 storyboards within 2 weeks. So if I want to click right here, create a new storyboard, the benefit of this, why would I want to use this tool at all? It's just really easy. It's a lot of kind of drag and drop or click and play. If I wanted to make something, if I wanted an assignment that I'm not worried about the production as far as the students creating the graphics that we're looking at, but more creating the environments that they're in, creating the dynamic or the dialogue, perhaps. I know when I spoke with Ms. Perry, she was more interested in the scenario the kids were going to be working on, the language and the words, more so than the actual kind of comic tech pieces of that. So just to show you Storyboard That, kind of what it can do. So they give you a limited set or a pretty good swath of sets, but I can go to school here of different scenarios. So I can click on this one, just drag it down. This is a 3-panel comic strip in this case. I can switch it to add cells if I want more, or move them around, or change different layouts. So if I don't want just 3 panels, maybe you want more, maybe you want less. This is also where they get you to try to buy it. They'll give you certain things, but if you want to add some of the other features, they'll get you to pay for the full version. But you can see here, if I want to go, we'll start here at the school. Let's see, we'll go to driving a car here. Little background here, and then we'll go, I don't know, to outer space. Let's drag some of these over here. So these are all just built right in, right? So you can just kind of drag and drop, the kids can. They are somewhat editable. Like if I click on it once, you'll notice here, there's different colors. Let's say I want the car to be a different color, or if I want the school to be, flipped around differently, I can edit these. I can edit the scene a little bit. So we'll say it's nighttime out and it's raining. I don't know. That kind of thing. So you can see this, there's something. So it's beneficial in the sense it's a lot of just drag and drop and click and play, and it's already done for you. The negative of this, of course, is if you do want them to design those things. So it really depends on what your needs are. When they're done, let's say I'm going to add, so that's my background here. Here's some characters. And again, you kind of get what you get here. And now there are quite a few choices. So I'm just going to click on, I don't know, this guy right here. He's standing on the moon here. So even in here, again, I have these same kind of tools where I can just drag and drop, and I can change. Let's change the hat color. We're going to make it reddish, and the pants, we'll make them dark. And you get the idea. You can also flip them around. You can edit the pose, which is kind of cool. So if you want them to be standing maybe a little bit turned a little bit, we're going to give them a beard, basically because we can. Let's give them a little bit brown beard. Or if I want to have his hands out, again, I'm limited just to only so many choices, but I can kind of adjust all that kind of stuff. And we'll have his head turned, tilted a little bit. All right, so there's my guy there right here, and he's standing on the moon, which makes perfect sense. So when I'm done, if I do save it, what I'd recommend is, doing a screen share. That's the easiest way for students. So they do a quick screen capture here to capture that graphic, and now they have an image of their comic strip. Yes, you can save it, and it'll ask you different questions. And again, they're still going to try to upsell you right here to try to buy it for different versions and that kind of thing. But it does have a couple other things. Let's say I want to have them save stuff here. So here's my little word bubbles. Let's see here. I can change the text. We'll make it blue. I'm on the moon. Oh boy. And again, I can change. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. Let's go even bigger. That's probably too big. There we go. So you get the idea. So I think it's fun. I think kids will get a kick out of it. I would just be very clear with them ahead of time what your expectations are. There's some science stuff and some worksheet stuff. So they know ahead of time, you have 3 panels. This is what I want you to do. And when you're done, take a screenshot of that and save it. So Storyboard, that I will mention as well, has some other features besides just doing storyboards as far as other types of things. This is just a quick one that I created just to kind of show, here I am, welcome to the Comus, Storyboard that, and cool. And I'm doing kind of the same image there, same guy there, but just different scenes. Another one Carol put in there, I've used Make Believe Comics, obviously. Awesome, let's try that in there. Let's go to the chat, I'll pull that one up. So this looks cool too. I haven't seen this one before. So maybe this is another one worth checking out. So if you do want your students to create from scratch, let's say you really want them to not just necessarily grab things that are kind of pre-done, but you want them just fully from whole cloth. A couple different ways of going then. I thought this would be a good way to kind of share using vector-based graphics and freehand drawn graphics. Okay. So what I have right here, I'll copy this into the chat. And this is just a template that you can copy and you can use. So Libby asked in here, the copyright rules of graphics. In Storyboard that, if you're using anything that's built into there, you're perfectly fine, because that's kind of how it's designed. That's what it's for. So if they want to, create a graphic or create an image, whatever, take a screenshot of that, they can use that. That's what fair use is, basically. Plus, where the copyright comes into it and why they do the 13 and under is they don't want to be responsible for if students younger than 13 have accounts on their service. So what happens is a teacher will set up, again, just like Google Classroom, same idea, where you as the teacher and students will join underneath you as the administrator, and that's how that works. That's how that makes that work out. So I just want to show you here. So this is just Google Draw. Let me close this one down. So again, I just threw that in there. It will make a copy of the one we're looking at right here. If you want to know how to start a new, fresh Google Draw, if you just go to your Google Drive, click New, go down to More, and here's a Google Drawing. Okay, so this is just a generic Google Drawing that you can do whatever with. And also, just so you know, like if you're in Slides or in Google Docs, you can click Insert Drawing, and it'll put it right inside of that document. What this does, this is a vector scaled graphics designer. And what that means is if I grab a shape, let me grab a shape up here. I'll grab a smiley face, for example, and I will just drag it here, okay? Unlike a freehand drawing, so if you remember back using like Microsoft Paint or something like that, where you're just drawing things by hand or you're drawing things on the computer, but it's just kind of freehand, this doesn't do that. These are all scalable vector graphics, which means if I resize them, the quality is going to stay exactly the same. Let's make that a little yellow smiley face because that makes more sense. Because it's not actually freehand drawn. It's a mathematical model. It's actually say, okay, I want this graphic to be from this width and this height and whatever it is. So this could scale up, almost infinitely as far as, because it's just a numerical scale there. And that's where you see a lot of stickers or large graphic things that are printed out. They use that SVG model because you're not going to lose quality. Now, the drawback of this, the drawback of using these things, well, I'm going to use that for everything, is that if I wanted to erase just a piece of this, you really can't because it's all one piece. Let me show you an example. I'm just going to draw a line here. So here's my line. And then if I want to move this entire line afterward, oh yeah, it's all one piece. Well, I can resize it, but I can't really delete like a middle piece of it. Another good example is if I click this little pull down here, here's a scribble, right? So I'm going to draw a scribble here. Here's freehand. What do you mean? Well, when I'm done, I let go. This is all now one unit, one piece. We can make it a little bit thicker. We can change the color here. But this is all one piece of one single image here, one single factor here that I can't really, it's not truly freehand. I just draw whatever I want and delete or erase whatever I want. Now, there are times when this is useful, right? There are times when we actually want that kind of scalable vector graphics as needs for that. If you want to do something like that in here, one of the benefits is you could, kids could draw things for you. They could take the time to go in and grab shapes and, maybe like little stick figures and all that kind of stuff. You can insert any image if you wanted to. I can come in here and insert an image. We'll just search for a, let's see, smiley face. So here's my image, just like you would in a regular Google slideshow, say. And so I could use that. You could also, if you wanted students to freehand draw on paper, you could theoretically have them draw it out first. Right in here, click Insert Image from Camera, and I could take a picture. And let's draw a little quick smiley face here. My beautiful artwork. You get the idea. So obviously, you take a lot more time with the kids. They could do a better job. Now, one of the drawbacks is you can tell right here is the quality is not going to be awesome, right? The quality is going to be what it is. But the benefit of it is the kids can do that right. They don't need anything else. They can use their webcam. They can take a picture of it, and you'd have it, and they can make whatever they wanted and put them in as a picture. They can also write in here. If I do insert, if I come back up here to the little show bubbles here, I can go to callouts, and here's my little speech bubbles or thought bubbles. If I want them to be thinking something or saying something, I can do all that built right into this. Let's change that background to white here. Just like you would, in any other programs. One of the benefits of this is that it's already built in. Kids are probably pretty comfortable in Draw and slides, that kind of stuff. You can make this as big or as little as you wanted. This is a 4-panel. You can make it 3. You can make it 10 or 100, whatever you wanted them to do. The only drawback with this specifically is it's not really designed for it. So it can get, kids can like, oops, I accidentally moved this all over the place. Or maybe I grabbed everything and I moved it all out of whack. Like that can happen, right? So some of those programs like the one that Carol mentioned, MakeBelieve.comics and the Storyboard That, they're kind of built so that you have those, structures right there. So as you adjust things, it's not going to move out of whack and change it. But this is a fun way to do it too. And when you're done, of course, they can share it with you just like they would a Google Doc or anything else. It'd be the same idea. The last one that I was going to share, and this is a little bit more freehand. And so this is, actually, I did want to share one more thing in here. And we talked about this before, but I think it's worth mentioning. Let's say I want to use this image here that I just took a picture of, and I want to do something with it. I don't want it to just be a square. I actually want it to be like a circle, like a head. If I click on an image twice, if I double click on it, you'll see these little black bars here, and those are your crop tools. So let me zoom in a little bit here. So here's my image. If I double click on it, I'll see these little black bars, and I can drag those around, and now it will crop it to be only what I want. Like I'm going to take me out of it. I don't want my other stuff out in that picture here. I'll just hit enter, and there it is. That's good. The other thing you can do is right up here, when I click on it, you notice how the toolbar will change based on what I've clicked on, the settings, what options I have will change. So if I highlight this one right here, I've got my squares around the edge of it, my resizing squares if I need to. I can also click that right there is a crop image tool. To the right of that is a little pull down triangle. So if I click on that and go to shapes, this is what I like to call the cookie cutter tool. Basically cuts it out the shape of whatever you have on here. So for example, if I want it to be a circle, this will cut it out as a circle. If I wanted this to be, I don't know, we'll make it a triangle head, right? So any of these shapes, you can use kind of almost like a cookie cutter, cut it out to be on that picture. So again, kids can get really creative with this if they wanted to, if they really want to take the time and draw a nice picture and put it in there, or again, whatever, however you want to use that. The one final thing I'll just share in here, because this can get tricky too. If things are not layered like you want them to, you notice how right now the speech bubble is behind my picture here. And actually, let's do make that back to a circle. All right, that's a little bit better. So if my speech bubble isn't exactly how I want, it's behind it. If you right-click on it, I can go to order, and I can bring it to front. And so now that would be maybe in the right place, depending on what you want. So you think of all these almost like little scrapbooks, like little pieces of paper that are layered on top of each other. You can bring them to front, or push them to back, or whatever, lay them all up on each other. All right. The last one tool I was going to share, and again, this is built in, this is free, this is everybody that has a Google account has access to this. It's called Canvas. And so the app, the link for this one, and I think I have it up here. Put it in the chat. So Canvas is like Jamboard in the sense it's a freehand one. So this is canvas.apps.chrome. Just so you know, you can install this, if I click this little down arrow here, as an actual app. But what's the difference between an app and a website? Basically, in this situation, it's a tab on your Chrome, right? And you have to be online to use it, interact with it. If you install it as an app, and your students should be able to do that, if they can install it as an app, that means it would work offline. So if they don't have great internet, they can still be able to draw stuff on it. And so what this does is just like it looks like, it's kind of freehand. Now I'm using the mouse here, but they could use whatever. If they have a mouse or if they have a stylus, if they're able to turn their Chromebook into tablet mode, that kind of thing. With all these different, there's a pen and here's a marker. Grab some different colors here. But you get the idea, some chalk. So this is a little bit more freehand. It's not going to do vector graphics. Like when this is done, whatever the size of this canvas is, that's the size of how it's going to actually print out. You do have undo, but you don't have, like I do have an eraser here, and I can resize it if I want to make it bigger or smaller. But when I erase, I can erase sections of it. I'm not erasing the entire line at a time. That's really the difference between the true scaled vector graphics or SVG files versus just a freehand drawing file. There are places for both, depending on what your needs are. Like if you want kids to draw something, they can absolutely do that. This will act, if I click the home button here, just like everything else. So here they have it stored. They can click on it, they can download it. They need to save the image to share it with you. They can share it with you, just like a doc or whatever. They can add layers up here in the upper right. So here's one layer I have. Let's say I want to change the background layer. We'll make it a light green. Ooh, that's pretty ugly. Let's do it purple. That's better. You can do custom colors here. I can also add a new layer here. So here are my layers on top of each other. So I'm going to let's add some red marker right on top. And because it's a layer, I can hide it on top of each other. So this is really not a bad way to introduce layers to students and how that works. Think of it almost like transparencies. If I lay one on top of another one, I can write on that top one and it doesn't affect anything going inside of it. But this is a cool app. Again, it's pretty, it doesn't have a million features, but usually depending on what your needs are, that might be just what you need for them to draw something really quick and share that with everybody. So that was canvas.apps.chrome. We talked a little bit about Google Draw as a tool with their scaled vector graphics, and Storyboard that as another possible choice, depending on what your needs are, what you're trying to have them create. So any questions? How do I answer the question from Libby? Thank you, Carol, for throwing that in there. Also check out Make Believe Comics. I haven't seen that one before. That looks pretty cool. Good here. Okay. All right. So does it look like any questions? Awesome. Next week we will be picking up same time, same bat channel, 1:30 on 1 to 1:30 on Wednesday. I have some students scheduled for next week. I know it's been a little while before we've had students, which is too bad. So we're kind of getting back in the swing of things. We're getting more students in the building. So I'd like to get them in the process of presenting as well. If you have topics that you'd like to see covered or something that you have a question about, absolutely email me as always, and we'll add it to a show. We'll either have a student present on it or myself. So with that, thank you all very much. Appreciate your time. Thanks, guys. See you soon.